Hey guys, so welcome to episode 2 of Trainer Honor TV, and today's guest is non-league striking sensation Nathan Cartman. Carts, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hi mate, you alright?
Yeah, superb, mate. So for the guys that are watching, mate, just wanted to give the guys a bit of an introduction to who you are and your background, bud.
Well, to be fair, I've been up and down in non-league football for the last, 10 years now. Just started my own coaching football business, one-to-one sessions and stuff. So it's all relatively exciting times, really.
Sounds good. Sounds good, mate. So how did it start for you then? Because obviously we know each other through his days at Harrogate Railway about, God, what was that, about 8 years ago? 7, 8 years ago?
Yeah, it will be.
God.
It will be now.
Yeah, time just flows. So obviously you started off at Leeds United. Tell me about how you got into the academy system down at Leeds.
It was, to be fair, I was at Man City as a kid, 9, 10-year-old, and then they released me for being too small, which is
discrimination. That
it's one of them. It's, you don't see Messi or like that getting released here, so it's that football. So that was 9, 10-year-old, and then I stepped back down to Centre of Excellence football with Halifax Town. Spent 1 season there, and Gary Worthington, if you remember, they went into administration. Halifax did.
Yeah, I remember that conference. League, is that when they're in League 2 about 2000?
Conference. So everything just wiped out, and then Gary Worthington were there at the time, who then went to Leeds, and he offered me a trial over there, so it just went from there. Really.
So it's great.
Trial and signed me straight up.
That's good. That it just shows the power of it. It's not what you know; it's who you know. Sometimes, isn't it? Because
it's not basically these days. Now it is who you know in the game. It's not. Oh yeah, you're gonna go on trial. It's probably like if your face fits kind of thing. Who you know.
Well, this is the thing, and it's frustrating about football because obviously you've got the managers have always got the favourites, haven't they? So if they go to a club, you're guaranteed that they're going to take the players with them, and it doesn't matter whether it's non-league, Premier League. You see it with Fellaini, don't you? You know, yeah. David Moyes goes to a club, you're guaranteed Fellaini goes with him because his face fits with him. So it's absolutely insane. So tell us about the sort of training that you underwent at Leeds. I mean, how did it impact you as a obviously being at City to then going to Halifax? What were the big differences that you noticed?
Just the skill of the players and the technical side of it, and just the overall difference in the, I don't know, what's the word for it?
Is that the mentality or professionalism?
It's just, I was only a kid, so it was more like going out and enjoying it. But when I was at City at 9-year-old, it was more like travelling over there 4 times a week. It weren't really what a kid wants to do.
No.
Kind of thing. It's more a chore.
Yeah.
But my parents took the sacrifice week in, week out to take me up and down the country, so obviously I thank them massively for what they've done for me.
Yeah, well, that's a decent thing. Well, the thing is, I mean, did you have the option of actually playing for any clubs a bit more local, or was it just a case of City had said, right, well, this is you know, we're going to offer you the position. Do you want to come and play, or was it just a case of that's what was available and you took it, sort of thing?
No, it was quite funny actually, because I went on trial at Leeds before Man City as a kid as well, and they told me on my birthday that they weren't going to sign me.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, cheers, thanks for that. They give me a card and off I went. So then my dad's mate was a scout at Man City at the time, Dave Crossley, and he was based in Halifax. And he basically said, "Oh, I'll get you a trial, go over," and then I signed from there.
That's
it's just crazy.
Mate, that is football in general, isn't it? It's just an absolutely nuts thing. But you see nowadays, I mean, obviously when it comes to footballers nowadays, well, back in the day, looking back 10, 15 years ago, it didn't matter where you were in the country. You could, if you were in London and Blackburn Rovers, for example, liked you, you could play for Blackburn, couldn't you? But now it's so much more restricted now that they've brought in the EPPP system. I mean, what's your thoughts on that in terms of, you know, if a club wants to sign you at a young age, what's your thoughts in terms of like the travel distance and the travel times? Obviously, it was. You say about it being a bit of a chore for yourself, travelling from Halifax to Manchester or Halifax to Leeds. What's your sort of take on the EPP at the minute?
I think it's just the whole football in general has changed as kids. I mean, I think it were when I was younger, it used to be an hour and a half travelling distance. So I'm only within an hour of Manchester. I mean, now for my daughter Millie, who's there, we're in the hour limit. I think we're 50 minutes.
50.
Which ain't bad. But if you're going 3-4 times a week, it does get a lot, especially for the parents and stuff. But I also think it benefits the kids on the travel time. They're having to leave the school, parents are leaving work, just to get to training for 5:30 if they're travelling, obviously. But like now, they could set off, obviously, with the hour time, what they have. Everything just falls in the line a bit later, doesn't it?
Yeah, so the sacrifices are pretty huge, really, and I suppose a lot of it depends. I mean, what's the communication like between, like, obviously with Millie being at Man City at the moment? How does it work in terms of her managing to get time out of school if she needs to then go over to Manchester? Does it affect the educational side of it a bit, or?
To be fair, at the minute she's only at development centre because obviously she's a girl. There's not an age group for the girls yet at 6-year-old. So she's in development centre, which is based in Leeds.
Yeah.
But they also go to, which is probably just as far on a tea time it is to get to Manchester.
Yeah.
To the side of Leeds. So, but when we do go over to the CFA, which is normally a Sunday, there's no issues. But for school and stuff like that, she finishes in time for getting over to Leeds, so it's no issues.
It's good to know that there's not really any knock-on effect with that as well. So it's pretty good. So going back to yourself, I suppose, going back to yourself on that. So we went. So obviously we left it when you went over to Leeds with Gary, and talk about the camaraderie and the sort of the environment that you were training down at Thorpe Arch. I mean, what differences did it make to you as a person and also as a footballer in terms of your mindset and skill set?
To be fair, when I first signed at 12-year-old, so Leeds was still in Premier League.
Those were the days, weren't they? That's when Leeds kept being arrested.
So you walk into the training ground and you got Mark Viduka, Harry Kewell, you got Ferraris, you got Lamborghinis. It's just, you look at it and you think, wow, that's what I want to be.
Yeah.
That's where I want to get to. And as a kid, that's all you want. Every footballer wants to be a professional footballer.
Yeah.
But like the mindset and stuff, it pushed you on to work as hard as you can. Yeah. Not only for myself, but for my family as well, because they took, like I say, the sacrifice to take me 3-4 times a week.
Yeah. I mean, with that, did you have much contact time with players? Did they actually make the time to come down, give you the advice and that, or did you get to see them train? So you had that, like,
we normally, as I say, they were in Premier League when I was that age, when I first signed. So it was more the case of if they played like a Super Sunday match, they'd train Saturday morning, same time as us. And obviously you'd pass them and they'd say hello and obviously greet you out as the pros do.
It's pretty decent, that. So there was that mutual respect there. So there was no sort of them and us. So it's almost like one big community club, which is obviously.
It's because you have some like United, they have split buildings for academy. I mean, City do it, which is right, but Leeds at the time, it was all one. Yeah, the changing rooms were all set about and the layout was separate, but you could basically walk down and Leeds United's first team are there, or you could just go and watch. But obviously, security is high.
Yeah, I can imagine. Bit insane. That. So from Leeds, so when you left Leeds, what happened? What was the turning point, and what sort of changes did you have to make to your life personally and professionally as you went into non-league football from there?
Well, I left at 19, so I'd done 3 years, 2 years scholar, 1 year pro. And you just think to yourself, I've got a chance here, I've got a real good chance. And then they had that many managers. If you remember, most have had about 5 or 6 in the first 3 years of full-time football.
Yeah.
We had Blackwell, we had McAllister, Grayson, even Dave Bassett came in for a little bit.
Wow, Harry Bassett, God.
Up and down. People don't realise how hard that is. You're in with one, you're out with one. You're in with one, you're out with one. As a youth team player, that's hard to take. They got to 19 and Grayson, like, he's done it. I don't have any grudges to hold because he's done what he's done within football. But he's gone in and wiped out a lot of clubs like Huddersfield. A lot of their young lads just went straight away. You don't really get a chance. It was more like you were a reserve team player, as it is now under 23s. We were reserve team players, and it was more, instead of us playing games, it would be dropping the lads who weren't playing in the first team down to playing them games.
Yeah,
so we could be training for a week to not even have a game at the end of it. So the last year at Leeds was more like just training for them rather than playing any games, which is crazy.
That's poor, considering that Leeds obviously got a great reputation for bringing on talent, the likes of obviously Delph and Alan Smith and such like. It goes back to, I suppose it goes back to what we were saying at the beginning, doesn't it, Carts? In terms of, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I suppose once, and it sounds like with Grayson, he came into that environment, he familiarised himself with the players. That was like his social circle, and it was almost like they're sort of scared to step out of it to sort of bring the youth up to it. I mean, obviously, it's going to have had an effect.
Every manager before that, we were all involved with first team.
Yeah, and that's how it should be, shouldn't it? You get to a certain age, and you should be thinking, right, we're going to.
Yeah, it was cut out. It was like, you're that group, and you're training with the first team players who weren't wanted. So it was more like just a group. As they were called, the bomb squad.
Bomb squad. Yeah, they get some right names for it at these times, don't they?
But we all went to end of the season, and it got to, I think it were March, and I just said I need to go out on loan. So I went to Curzon Ashton on loan for 2 months to end the season.
Yeah,
we got to the playoff final that year against Newcastle Blue Star, which was good.
That's good.
It's good experience in the non-league under Gary Lowe, who took me under and looked after me really well there.
So you say that made you a bit more of a man, giving you, because obviously you've been at Leeds, great, you've got the professional setup, you're playing, you're training with the same lads day in, day out, but then obviously you go into men's football. Would you say that was would it be fair in saying it was a bit of a kick up the backside to an extent in terms of the football education? Because obviously, if you're not getting the run in the first team, I suppose in the reserves, you're still playing against like 15, 16, 17-year-olds. So in terms of physicality, I suppose, would you say that going out on loan had its benefits in terms of your physique and your stamina?
Massively. As a kid, this is no disrespect to non-league, obviously, but I never even knew half of the teams in the leagues or how far it actually went.
Yeah.
You just think, oh, I'm professional, non-leagues, what's that kind of thing. But it was scary because that really gave me an eye-opener because I played centre midfield. And I remember first game we played, I think it were Bamber Bridge away for Curzon Ashton. And I'm not joking, 2 big lads in the middle. They kicked me to shreds.
Wow.
And after I got moved out, they said, no, you're not a centre midfielder in this league, you're going up wing.
Yeah.
So they put me up wing and kept me out of the way. Which gave me the experience I needed. Because as soon as I went back, obviously dropped in after Leeds, I kind of knew where I needed to be.
Yeah. So it was good that they got that position. It almost seems strange hearing that you're playing they played you as a midfielder and a winger. Obviously, I know you was a striker, so it was a bit sort of bizarre. I mean, playing in that position, did it give you a bit of a better appreciation of the build-up play, if you like, as a man at the top?
That's the thing. I probably always had the movement. It was just I kind of like know where the lads want to play because I've always grown up being a centre midfielder.
Yeah. So
I know what they want to do. So as I got thrown up front, moving on to Brighouse when I went, that was the first club after Leeds.
Yeah.
Signed because I took a few months out to have a think about what I needed to do and where were with my life and what do you do after you play football?
Yeah.
There's no job in place. It was Where do I work? Where do I get my money from?
So with that, Carl, did you get any support from the club in terms, because obviously moving at 19, did you get any support from the club? And if you did, what support did you get? And if you didn't, what do you think needs to be put in place?
I got no support whatsoever. None of us did. There's a trial match here, there's a trial match there. I just think, probably going back to like old school here, is instead of the scholars doing a BTEC sport, what they're never going to use in their life.
No, exactly. I completely agree.
Is go out and do a plumbing course or an electrician or something where there's something to fall back on. I mean, I can't remember last time I used my BTEC sports, what I got at 18-year-old.
Yeah.
I've not needed it. That needs to be put in place.
There's so many of these. That's the problem with football nowadays. Every club has got a BTEC, haven't they? And, the way that they sell it is, because we've got, International House, where I'm working at the minute, we've got this lad. He's come over from, I think it's Azerbaijan, I think it is. And he keeps going down to London. And because it's Crystal Palace, he's adamant that he's going to play for Palace on the trial. But all it is a BTEC. And, we're phoning up saying, like, is this lad got a trial? Oh, no, he's just coming down for a BTEC. So, they put the blinkers on these youngsters, which is really, really bad. But I totally agree with you. I mean, I was speaking to Dave Raven a few months ago on a previous podcast, and he was saying that he was at Liverpool, and he was on the bench in the Champions League 1 minute, and he just got to the point where he was offered a new contract under Benitez, and he wasn't interested. He could have been earning about 10, 15 grand a week, for example, but he was so committed to playing football that he went down to Carlisle, and then he came out of the game, but he had no support, which I think is really bad it's really bad, especially when the FA are now going on about
many kids what are falling out of the game.
It's ridiculous.
Place for him. And then I know loads what have not even played since that day they left.
It's scary, and it's all about money, isn't it? They're throwing money into the places where they shouldn't be, in my opinion. Whereas they should be doing it's a bit like the army. When I was in the army, we had like a transition period where you basically either you handed your notice in or you were told you weren't you weren't going to carry on, and they give you like what they call gardening leave. So you'd have like 6 weeks, and it's almost like you're acclimatizing to a new life, so to speak. But you're given like a couple of grand and say, right, here's a couple of grand. Like you were saying earlier about the plumbing or the joinery. Go and do a course that's going to benefit you. You're guaranteed to get a job. And that's what it should be like in football at the minute. So
Agreed.
It's absolutely insane. But so any FA people that are listening to this podcast, you heard it here first. Pull your fingers out and start helping the players a little bit more, because it's much needed. Mental health, mate, especially, because we hear about so many players.
No, it's big now, yeah. Agreed.
It's insane. You look at Gary Speed, massive player, had won virtually every medal, captain of Wales, committed suicide not long after I think he was on Football Focus, wasn't he? And then the next day, he was found dead because of mental health. And I'm not, disclaimer before this goes out, I'm not putting the blame solely on the FA or anything, but a lot more, it just proves that, they need to have a big amount of support for players. I mean, they've got the PFA, and I know, obviously, Clark Carlisle had his mental health issues, came out and spoken about it. And then on LinkedIn, I think, is it Marvin Sordell? He's recently left Burton Albion because I think he fell out of the love with the game. Why he fell out of love with the game, I don't know. But again, he's trying to find his way around things at the minute by what it looks like, taking care of himself, and it looks like he's got the right people around him. So on the subject of having the right people around you, talk us through, obviously you went to Curzon Ashton on loan. It toughened you up a bit. Went to Brighouse, club that I do not like and I cannot stand, for the simple reason that every time I've played there as a player or as a manager, always lost. And so I hate Brighouse. Not that one.
So when I left Leeds, I spent what did I spend? About 18 months there, maybe a bit longer.
Yeah.
So I got right down from, obviously, Leeds, right down into Northern Counties Division 1.
Wow.
Brighouse.
That's a big step.
It's massive. I mean, I lost my physical side, lost it, well, obviously, put a bit of weight on, head's not in the right place, and I was like, God, what do I do with myself? And then what it was, Vicky's dad, he messaged his mate and said, oh, any chance can you get Nathan out of Brighouse, which is only 10 minutes from me.
Happy days.
So I just started there and I went training. I know a few of my mates who I've grown up with were there. I just started playing football and trying to enjoy it again. But it was like a massive jump down from where I'd been. So it's like I've gone from seeing all these posh cars and playing full time and training every day to down to being 20-year-old lads playing with lads who were working every day, training once a week, twice a week, playing. It was hard. It was an hard graft. But I'd like to think I started out as a centre midfielder at Brighouse, and then the second pre-season I had, we had no strikers available.
Right.
So they said, this is where I went. So they turned around to me, Carts, do you fancy going up top for a game in pre-season? Never looked back.
Mate. And that's where the story goes, isn't it? I think it was it non-league Yorkshire that put that article about your rise from sort of like bottom of non-league all the way to the top the other week, which well, that was a real eye-opener in terms of, I suppose you can look back at that and think, you know what, I could have taken another route, but you haven't. Yeah. And I mean, what's motivated you to keep pushing to get to the top of the level, to get back to the top of the game?
It's an idol, really, because a lot of them have done what I've done and then slid away and not played again.
Yeah.
There's a lot what have done what I've done, but to be fair, there's not many what fall out and go right down to the bottom.
No.
Back to the top, top of non-league ladder or near the top.
I suppose it's how much they want to get it and what their vision is, isn't it? I suppose.
I mean, I wouldn't say I've had about 5 clubs in the last thing here. Just for myself, my family, giving back to my mum and dad and my uncle who have travelled up and down the country, not just giving up kind of thing.
Yeah.
I nearly did, but it was so much told me I just need to push it and push and push.
It's pretty good that, and you're getting the benefits now. Obviously, you've been at Farsley a couple of years now. Obviously via Darlington and a couple of other clubs. In terms of being at Farsley, what is it about Farsley that's made you stay there for the last couple of years? I know obviously it's local to you, but what is it about Farsley that's kept you there?
The changing room, the lads.
Yeah.
The lads are seconds and all, unbelievable. We've added a couple of lads each, well, obviously over pre-season and over this season. The change room's the probably best I've been in.
That's a big
other
thing,
than Harrogate Railway, which were class.
Good group there, wasn't there?
I mean, to be fair, even Darlow were a great change room. To say it were a bit of a mix of Yorkshire and the Northern lads.
Yeah.
So the last clubs I've been in have been a really good dressing room. But Farsley, obviously, I've won promotion with Darlow and Farsley three times, been with playoffs and that. So
pretty decent.
Yeah, for the manager, it helps when someone believes in you.
Mate, I totally get you. Totally get you with that one. It's a massive, massive thing. So, sort of looking ahead of the game. Obviously, not that you're getting old, but obviously we're getting to the point where you've been about a little bit in the game, and pushing towards. Well, you are at the top end of non-league, I suppose. Realistically, do you think you can get yourself back into the Football League in the next sort of year or two, or would you like, or are you more preparing for life after the game at the minute? Obviously, you've got your coaching company that you're spending time doing, and also talk to us a bit about one thing we haven't spoken about is work commitments as well. I suppose playing in non-league, there's obviously the work commitment you've got to think about as well.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm just going to play as long as I feel I can do. I mean, I've had no injuries. I've got a slight one at the minute, but no major what's stopping me run and playing. So I've been quite lucky on that respect, where I've had no injuries. So I don't play as long as I can. But like round work now, I've always worked for the last 10 years. It's no difference. It's just more of the fact is your long journeys in the league we're in.
Yeah.
Out of work, booking holidays. I think I booked three days holiday this year for one game.
One game. Wow.
Barnet away. Went to Barnet first time and they called it off.
Oh, you're joking.
No. They called it off 5 minutes before kick-off. FA Trophy, I think it were. Replay. So then I booked the 2 days off and then they rearranged it and then I had to book another day off. I think we got back about, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to be at work for 6, half 6.
Wow. That's it. That's some commitment. The mileage is there. Obviously, a lot of mileage in there as well, isn't it? But the thing is, I suppose when you go to the club, I suppose when you're playing against clubs like Barnet, you never know who's in the crowd, do you? So, I know that.
Say there were no one that second night.
What's that?
I can safely say there was nobody there the second night.
No one there second night? Oh, mate.
200.
It
was just not well, so.
That's insane. So, tell us a bit about Cartman coaching. Obviously, it's having great success, which is great to see. Bit of a new business venture for you. So are you looking at going into coaching now then, Carts, do you reckon, and sort of establishing that as a full-time position? Or tell us a bit about it, or how did it come about?
I probably won't go full-time, maybe. I don't know. I just thought, I'll tell you what, I'll do a bit of coaching for Man City, like the fun days and the development centre. And we did a fun day in Halifax at the indoor five-a-side pitches.
Aye.
And the guy on there was like, is anyone who fancies a bit of one-to-one coaching down here? It'll be a paid role. We're getting loads of requests and stuff off just players and kids what go there.
Yeah.
I just thought to myself, why don't I set my own up? Do my own.
Yeah.
Because why am I going to go and work for someone else when I can do my own?
Yeah.
And I've transformed my garden into a small five-a-side court.
Oh, so it is your garden that you transformed? Right. I was questioning that when I first saw it. I thought, is it your garden or you hired a facility or something? That's pretty impressive, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, it just, if I was to go and hire facilities, it'd cost an arm and a leg for parents.
Yeah.
You'd be looking at, obviously, 40, 50 quid. Obviously, in my back garden, I just charge for the hour.
Yeah.
And there's no facilities, there's no overheads before we even start. So it's worked quite well. I've had about just under 40 kids at minute.
Yeah.
On an evening, on a Saturday mornings and Sundays. So I'm really, really busy.
Yeah, it's good to see that. I mean, in terms of, so with that, what do you hope to get out of it then for the kids? Are you looking at creating a player pathway for the guys that are coming, for the guys and girls that are coming to your sessions, or is it more of a recreational, fun thing for the kids, just so that they can improve their technique and skill going into some of the league team?
It's more that really. I want to develop in Halifax as many as I can. I wanted to improve. I want them to come and gain confidence within themselves and progressing. I've had about 15, 16 out of the 30 plus, just under 40, who have come to me and said, just need to work on his confidence, which is massive. It's massive in football.
Yeah.
And in life in general.
Yeah, it's something that people don't think about, isn't it? Really, about the confidence side of it, and because a lot of coaches and a lot of parents, they get pushy, don't they? They're like, oh, why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? And you hit the nail on the head, and it is because there's no confidence. So being able to identify that and work on that is pretty key. So you're pretty much going to be the go-to guy within Halifax then, within the next year.
For one-to-ones, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of mates who run various football academies, private football academies, where they get the group sessions. One in Halifax and one in Bradford. So the people have asked me if I'm going to set that up. Whether I have time, no, probably not.
It's big commitment, mate, and it starts with that, I suppose. You know, obviously you're busy with work, you're busy with football, busy as a dad as well. This is where you know people. You've got, I suppose, you've got to think about what, you know, what's going to be in it for you and what's going to be best for your security, haven't you? Really.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to start the business up, but I looked at it and I thought, well, there's a bit of a market there. But I also coach a Sunday League grassroots team, under sixes.
Is that Farsley?
And I go around the grassroots club and I think I just want to improve them.
Yeah, that's a great attitude to have. Is that so? What we'll do, Kaz, we'll start to wrap it up a bit, bud. So, for those that are watching, dude, where can they find you? Where can they find you if they want to connect with you, find out a bit more about the business and about you? Where can they connect with you?
So I've got a Facebook page and an Instagram page. It's at Cartman Coaching. All the information's on there. Obviously, the numbers on there as well. So
get in touch, guys. Get in touch for sure. Well, Carts, I really appreciate your time today, bud. It's been a pleasure having you on, and fingers crossed, mate. We'll be out of this corona sooner rather than later. And yeah, it's been great having a catch up, bud. And thanks for coming on the show.